I never thought I'd be grateful for my great-grandfather's paranoia, but as I watched those bulldozers rip into our family's land that chilly September morning, I realized his foresight would change everything. My name's Nathan, and that 80-acre parcel has been in my family for over a century. My great-grandfather, Henry, bought it in 1920, working 3 jobs to afford it. He passed it to my grandfather, who passed it to my father, who passed it to me for generations of memories, for generations of legacy. I was sipping coffee on my back porch when I heard the rumbling. At first, I thought it was thunder, but when I crested the ridge to check, my stomach dropped. 3 massive yellow bulldozers were tearing into the eastern edge of my property, with surveyors staking out a grid. "Excuse me," I shouted, jogging toward a woman in a sharp black suit who seemed in charge. "What's happening on my land?" She turned, giving me a look like I was an annoying interruption. "This isn't your land, sir. This parcel was approved for development by Oakwood Estates. We have all the permits." My face burned with anger. "Ma'am, I'm Nathan Carter. My family's owned this property for over 100 years. There's been a mistake." Her smile was icy as she pulled out her tablet. "Mr. Carter, I'm Claire Morgan, Executive Director of Oakwood HOA Development. County records show this eastern section was classified as abandoned and approved for our Cedar Hills expansion. We've met all legal requirements." She showed me a survey map that somehow sliced off nearly 30 acres of my family's land. "This is impossible," I said, my voice trembling. "I have the original deed at home. This has always been Carter land." Claire's smile didn't touch her eyes. "Our paperwork says otherwise. If you have concerns, contact our legal department, but I should warn you we have a team of 15 attorneys specializing in property law. This development is moving forward." As she walked away, I stood there, watching the machines carve up my land, feeling helpless as they laid foundations for houses that didn't belong. Little did Claire know, she'd just walked her company into a trap set by my great-grandfather a century ago, a legal provision so clever it would turn their 156-home development into Oakwood HOA's biggest blunder. Where are you watching this from today? Leave it in the comments, because you're about to see justice that was 100 years in the making. I spent the next 3 days in a bureaucratic nightmare. The county assessor's office said the property lines were adjusted in a regional survey last year. When I asked why I wasn't notified, a clerk shrugged, saying notices were sent and maybe mine got lost. The building inspector's office was no help. "All permits are in order," the official said, not even looking up. "Oakwood submitted everything correctly. Hire a surveyor if you dispute the boundaries." I contacted 3 property attorneys, but they all said the same thing. Oakwood's legal team was brutal, and I'd face years of litigation and hundreds of thousands in fees with no guaranteed win. Meanwhile, construction surged ahead. I stood at the ridge each morning, watching them clear more land, pour more foundations. Within 2 weeks, frames for the first dozen homes were up. Claire, the HOA director, would spot me watching and give a smug wave. "You're wasting your time, Mr. Carter," she called one morning. "Our first homeowners move in within 3 months. This is happening, like it or not." I was ready to give up when I recalled something my father said years ago. The deed to our land has special protections. Great-grandpa Henry was paranoid about developers stealing it, so he built in safeguards. That night, I dug through the old cedar chest where we kept family documents. The original deed was there, yellowed but preserved in plastic. I pored over the dense legal text, searching for anything unusual. 3 hours and 2 coffees later, I found EDA provision buried in the legal description, written in old-fashioned language but crystal clear. Should any person or entity construct improvements upon this land without express written consent of the deed holder or rightful heir, said improvements shall immediately and irrevocably become the sole property of the land's rightful owner, with no compensation due to those responsible for said unauthorized improvements. My hands shook as I reread it. My great-grandfather hadn't just protected our land, it set a legal landmine. According to this binding document, every house Oakwood built would automatically belong to me once completed. I called Edward Walsh, an elderly attorney and my father's old friend. After reviewing the deed, his eyes widened. "Nathan, this is incredible. Your great-grandfather was a genius. This provision was recorded with the original deed and is still legally binding. Every structure they build on your land becomes yours automatically. So I should tell them to stop now, right? I asked. Edward leaned back, a sly smile crossing his face. You could, or you could wait. The more they build, the more they lose. If you stop them now, they'll lose some construction costs. But if you wait, I got it instantly. If I waited until they finished all 156 homes, every one would legally be mine. It would be Oakwood's costliest mistake ever. That night, I stood on my porch, watching the construction lights glow in the distance. For the first time since this began, I smiled. Claire thought she was building an HOA community. In reality, she was building my future, one house at a time. Have you ever had to be patient for justice? It was one of the hardest things I've done, watching them build day after day on my family's land. But sometimes, the sweetest revenge is the one you wait for. The next 2 months were surreal. Every morning, I woke to construction noise, trucks beeping, hammers pounding. What was once quiet family land was becoming a bustling neighborhood that would soon be mine. I hired 2 more attorneys to confirm Edward's assessment. Both agreed. The provision was airtight, properly recorded, and unchallenged. One called it a legal time bomb. Still, I played it careful. I bought a high-end camera, documenting everything: daily photos of construction, videos of workers on my land, a journal of every interaction. I paid for a surveyor report confirming the original property lines, crucial for later. Oakwood built at a relentless pace, not just homes, but an entire community: paved streets, utilities, houses sprouting like weeds. By November, the first 30 homes were done, with 50 more underway. Real estate signs boasted prices starting at $450,000. One crisp afternoon, Claire was giving a tour to buyers, pointing out homes and amenities. Spotting me at the ridge, she waved them over. "Mr. Carter," she called, her voice dripping with fake warmth. "Meet the Wilsons. They're buying the Colonial on Cedar Drive. Isn't it gorgeous?" The young couple smiled, unaware of the dispute. The house, a stunning 2-story with a wraparound porch, was entirely on my land. "Very nice," I said, nodding to the couple before walking away. That night, I couldn't sleep. Edward's words echoed. The more they build, the more they lose. But real families, like the Wilsons, were involved, unaware they were caught in a corporate mess. I called Edward the next morning. "People are buying these homes, innocent families. Should I step in now?" After a long pause, he said, "Nathan, that's a moral call only you can make. Legally, Oakwood is causing the harm, not you. They're selling homes on land they don't own. Buyers can sue Oakwood, not you. But the disruption to their lives: if you stop this now, Oakwood writes it off and keeps doing this elsewhere. If you wait until it's catastrophic for them, maybe they'll change their ways. Sometimes, the kindest long-term action isn't the easiest short-term one." I thought it over as December hit and families moved in. Christmas lights adorned homes on my land. Kids played in yards my family had owned for generations. Each evening, windows glowed in what was now called Cedar Hills Estates. Claire appeared in the local paper, cutting a ribbon at the community's Phase 1 opening. "Phase 1 is sold out," she bragged. "Phase 2 is selling fast, and all 156 homes will be done and occupied by late spring." That's when I decided I'd wait until all 156 homes were built and sold. The scale of Oakwood's mistake had to be massive enough to deter any developer from trying this again, anywhere. As winter deepened, I kept documenting and waiting. Each finished home was another piece of my inheritance, each sale another example of Oakwood's recklessness. I researched property management companies, preparing for when I'd own an entire neighborhood. Keep it as rentals? Sell individually? The possibilities were thrilling and daunting. Have you ever watched someone dig their own grave? That's what those months felt like, watching Claire and Oakwood eagerly build their downfall, one luxurious home at a time. The hardest part wasn't waiting for justice, it was staying silent while it unfolded. By April, Cedar Hills Estates was a masterpiece. All 156 homes were sold or under contract, with residents in nearly 130. The community had a clubhouse, pool, tennis courts, and manicured common areas. Oakwood's marketing claimed a 15% property value increase. May 15th was set for the official completion ceremony, with the mayor, county commissioners, and press invited to a ribbon cutting at the clubhouse, celebrating what Claire called the region's most successful development in a decade. That morning, I put on my best suit, the one I wore to my father's funeral 3 years ago. I tucked the original deed, supporting documents, and 3 attorneys' legal opinions into a leather portfolio. My hands shook as I adjusted my tie. After 8 months, today was the day. The ceremony was lavish white tents on the clubhouse lawn, caterers serving champagne and appetizers, a string quartet by the pool. Claire stood at a podium with Oakwood's logo, beaming as she addressed 200 people, residents, officials, media. Today marks not just a neighborhood's completion, but a community's birth, she said to applause. Oakwood is proud to have transformed and used land into homes for 156 families, creating jobs and boosting our region's tax base. I stood at the crowd's edge, unnoticed, as she detailed the vision, planning, and bright future of Cedar Hills. And now, she concluded, I invite our county commissioners to join me in cutting the ribbon on this magnificent clubhouse, the crown jewel of Cedar Hills Estates. As officials approached, I stepped forward. Before you cut that ribbon, I said loudly, my voice steady despite my racing heart. There's something everyone needs to know. The crowd turned. Claire's face shifted from confusion to recognition to panic in seconds. Mr. Carter, she said quickly, this is a private event. We can discuss concerns at our office tomorrow. I think everyone here, especially the homeowners, will want to hear this now, I said, walking forward. The mayor, sensing trouble, stepped in. What's the issue, sir? My name is Nathan Carter, I announced, loud enough for all. My family has owned this land for over a century. Oakwood built this entire development on my property without permission. Murmurs spread. Claire laughed nervously. Mr. Carter has boundary disputes we're resolving. This isn't the place. It's not a boundary dispute. I cut in, opening my portfolio. Oakwood built 156 homes on land my family owns. And per this legally binding provision in our original deed, recorded with the county for over a century, any structures built without the owner's consent automatically become the landowner's property. I held up the deed, its faded pages visible. In simple terms, every home here, including this clubhouse, now legally belongs to me. Silence fell, then chaos erupted, homeowners shouting, officials muttering, reporters scribbling. Claire's face went pale. That's absurd, she said. Our legal team vetted this property. Oakwood's general counsel, a man in a sharp suit, pushed through and grabbed the deed, scanning it. His composure cracked as he read the provision. Claire, he said quietly, but everyone heard, we need to end this event now. The mayor, flustered, addressed the crowd. Given these claims, we'll postpone the ceremony pending clarification. As people dispersed, Claire approached me, her polished mask slipping. You knew about this all along, she hissed. You watched us build for months and said nothing. I met her gaze. I told you day one this was my land. You dismissed me and bragged about your 15 attorneys. So I let my great-grandfather fight them instead, through this deed. He saw people like you coming a century ago. We'll contest this, she warned, but her voice wavered. This provision can't possibly hold up after all this time. Edward, who'd arrived as planned, stepped forward. The provision's been recorded and unchallenged for over a century. Mr. Carter has 3 legal opinions confirming its validity. But go ahead and contest it. I'm sure the homeowners who bought these properties will love learning how thoroughly Oakwood checked the titles. As we walked away, leaving stunned Oakwood executives in a frantic huddle, Edward patted my shoulder. 8 months of patience just made you the owner of roughly $70 million in real estate, Nathan. The next morning, my phone didn't stop journalists, homeowners, attorneys. By afternoon, the story exploded. Developer's nightmare. Entire community built on private land, read the regional paper's headline. TV trucks lined Cedar Hills entrance. I'll never forget Oakwood's president calling, his voice strained. Mr. Carter, we need to discuss a resolution to this unfortunate situation. The trap had sprung. Have you ever seen someone's world collapse when they realize they've made a catastrophic mistake? I saw it in Claire's eyes that day at the ceremony, the moment she understood what she'd done. I'll never forget it. The next 6 weeks were a blur of negotiations, legal meetings, and life-altering choices. Oakwood's first offer was laughable, the raw land's value plus a small premium. Their second was better, but still short. By the third, they were desperate. 5 times the land's market value. Their president sat across a conference table, flanked by tense executives and lawyers. $20 million. You sign today, we all walk away. Edward, beside me, smiled. We've been clear. Mr. Carter will accept no less than the full retail value of all 156 homes and amenities, minus a reasonable bulk discount. That's over $60 million. Claire's composure broke. The company would never survive that loss. I leaned forward. You built on my land despite my warnings. You sold homes you had no right to sell. Now you want me to take pennies on the dollar for your mistake. What about the homeowners? An executive asked. They're innocent. That had been my biggest concern. I've assured every homeowner they won't lose their homes, I said. Unlike Oakwood, I won't punish innocent people for corporate greed. Negotiations dragged on. By evening, we had a deal. Oakwood would pay $48 million to clear their liability and release property rights for sold homes. The clubhouse, pool, tennis courts, and 12 unsold homes would remain mine. Oakwood would issue a public apology and cover residents' legal costs for deed corrections. They had to sell assets and secure emergency loans to pay. Claire was quietly forced to resign, and 3 board members stepped down within a month. As for me, life changed in ways I couldn't have imagined. I founded the Carter Family Foundation with $30 million of the settlement. Our first project was affordable housing on another family-owned parcel-quality homes for working families at accessible prices. I kept the clubhouse and amenities, but opened them to the wider community for a low fee. The tennis courts now offer free lessons for kids from lower-income areas, and the pool hosts senior swim hours 3 mornings a week. Of the 12 unsold homes, I sold 8 at affordable rates to teachers, firefighters, and nurses who couldn't otherwise afford the area. The remaining 4 became rentals for families displaced by hardship or disaster. Ironically, I became an unofficial leader in Cedar Hills. Most residents, once past their shock, appreciated that I didn't evict anyone or demand payments. Many became friends. We hold monthly community events at what's now Carter Clubhouse. Last month, I visited the county records office and found my great-grandfather's handwritten notes on the deed provision. His words in the margin were simple but profound. Land is legacy. Protect it not just from today's threats, but from tomorrow's. Standing on the ridge now, looking at Cedar Hills, I no longer see an invasion of my family's land. I see my great-grandfather's wisdom transformed into a community I've come to cherish, a neighborhood built by corporate greed but shaped by the values my family held for generations. A century ago, Henry Carter set a trap to shield his land from thieves. He couldn't have known his foresight would not only save our legacy, but let his great-grandson turn theft into something meaningful. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't destroying your enemy but turning their greed into something noble they never intended. Sometimes, patience isn't just waiting for justice, it's waiting for the chance to create something better than what was taken. If you enjoyed this story of patience and long overdue justice, check out the playlist on your screen for more real-life tales where timing made all the difference. Sometimes, the sweetest victory is the one you've quietly prepared for generations.